Board. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Stephanie Stevens Show and Pronoun TV. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again. You guys are amazing. Happy Pride Month to everyone. This week on my show, I have a series of guests that are very influential, educational, and inspiring. They have amazing stories and they live amazing real life. And that's what we're focusing on in this series, real life. People from the LGBTQIA two-spirit pronoun community that actually contribute to real life, things that are overlooked on the world stage. So here today I have on my show the amazing Miss Vega Ova. I have been following her for years and I wanted to have her on because she does just that, live real life. And she's here to share her story with us today. How are you, Miss Lady?
I am doing well, and thanks so much for asking, and hope you're well as.
Oh, I am. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much. Happy Pride Month. You know, it's a busy month for us.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
And I know
We
with you
have
working,
an entire month.
oh, yeah, that's right. I know that since you work during the day and then you have Miss Models Inc. and plus all of the shows and everything, you know, I know you are a busy woman, but I think that you have a voice that can help some of the issues that are going on in our community to help educate maybe the heterosexual community or maybe the government or just people in general that just don't understand us and that just don't get it. Now, I first want to say this because my agent, she always circles this because I always miss it. How do you identify?
I identify as she, her.
Okay. Now,
So I
I know.
identify with all female pronouns.
Okay, wonderful. Now, I know that you have been in the drag world at some point or another. And when you first, were you living in, what does it say here? It says you were living in Newport
News,
Virginia?
Virginia.
Okay, and now you live in Norfolk.
I live in Norfolk, and the only thing that separates Norfolk from Newport News is we have a tunnel. So Norfolk and Newport News are maybe 20 miles from one another.
Oh, okay. So now, is there an established gay community there?
Oh, absolutely. We have a very established community here. We have the Hampton Roads Pride. So our Hampton Roads Pride establishes a large spectrum of people in the LGBTQ lifestyle. So certainly we have a large amount of people here. We are considered the 7 cities here in Norfolk, which encompasses 7 cities. I'm in one of them, which is Norfolk. Newport News is one of them, but it encompasses what is called the Hampton Roads. So yes, we have a large amount of people that are within our community as such.
Okay. Have you guys had your Pride yet?
No, we have not had our Pride. Now we're doing different events. Our Pride actually starts this week coming, and we're doing different kickoff events. Normally our Pride would be over a week and the larger events would be on that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But because of the pandemic, of course, they had to do some rerouting and make some decisions on what was going to be better for the larger amount of people. So a lot of the actual activities are going to be done through Zoom, where they're doing smaller amounts of people, because our Pride on the Sunday normally gravitates to about 10,000 people.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, you know, living in Toronto, we have 1 million people that come here to watch the Pride, usually. 1 million people downtown for the entire week. It's really crazy here. Well, it used to be really crazy. Now, since we haven't had Pride in, you know, an actual street parade in the last 2 years, things are sort of, you're like, Pride what? Nobody even, when you go out on the street, you would think it was just a normal day, like nothing. Now, let's talk about you for a moment. Now, did you grow up in the church?
Yes, I did. I grew up in the
Okay.
Baptist church. Both of my parents went to church, and we were in church at least 2 to 3 times a week. And of course, it was something that was out of my control because I'm a child. So therefore, yes, I grew up in the church. And then I remained in the church as an adult because it was just something that was embedded inside of me at that point. So it was just common nature for me to continue.
Okay, because when I look at you, I would never know that you were male.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate
So,
that.
so this is something that I think needs to be seen on TV in less than a spotlight of show business trying to explain it, because people look at entertainment and trans women in entertainment a lot different than they do if you sit down and talk to them, because people are more afraid of what the actual reality of the situation is, that the person is actually a human being and it's not this celebrity figure on the stage that they admire or they fetishize about.
Mhm.
Now, when how the two things I found interesting, my agent, she underlined something. She wanted to know, how did you come about this name? The name is very interesting.
Believe it or not, it was a name that I came up with during the time that I was quote unquote what they call a butch queen. And it
Mhm.
was 5 friends of mine, and it's only 2 of us that remain, and we hung out with each other, and we would meet on this corner. And it wasn't too far from my house, and we would just gravitate there, just to talk and laugh and just have fun and things of that nature. So we all made a decision that we were going to come up with a feminine name for ourselves because all of us was very feminine. I would say that I was the more feminine out of the bunch because none of them ended up doing female impersonation except one, and that particular person is deceased now. And even when he would do female impersonation, it was only for a short time frame. It was never to where he was going to transition. And his name was Keith, and his drag name was Une. So that's how the name sparked. I don't know to say if it came from anywhere because it was just a name that I thought that was fabulous. And I just said that, oh, my name is going to be Vega. And it's been Vega ever since. Now, the over part of the name is what, kind of came in with a thought process, but the Vega itself did not come in with much thought process.
Oh, okay. Because when I think about the name, it reminds me so much of the ball scene. That
Mhm.
name, it seems like it's something that was invented during that era. It's a very interesting name. My agent said she loved the name, but she wanted me to focus on the name just to see where you got it and all of this. Amazing, 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 amazing. Now, another thing is that when we were looking at your profile, we saw that you were doing a lot, as even though you work during the day. We'll get into that down the road. Right now, I want to talk about Miss Models Inc., drag in your city, and the impact of the girls not working now. Because a lot of the girls had all the programs when there was no pandemic, and now with the pandemic, a lot of those programs have disappeared. What did you do during the pandemic? I know you worked, but what do you think the girls are doing? What do we need to bring attention to now that we know that the pandemic was there and there was no work?
I would say realistically, a lot of the girls did what a lot of the girls, have done. They resorted to the street life, whether it was standing on a street corner or whether it was actually working online. But I think that that was the resort that they had to consider. Now, some of the girls were already in that line of work, so it wasn't a situation to where it was foreign to them. When the pandemic came around, they just went with their normal protocol because it was part of their work ethics, I guess, to say during that time. But I think that for most of the trans women, whether you're a trans woman or whether you are someone that just basically dresses up from time to time, if you did not have a job, for the most part, you considered what was going to be your hustle thought process, and whatever that may be, you resorted to that. Or if that was something that you were doing, you just continued on because you still had to survive. You got to think that a lot of these young ladies, they live in hotels and the hotel rooms have to be paid. So what do you do when you're sitting in a pandemic and you have no money, you have no guaranteed income coming in, and you think to yourself, what else is there can I do? And I would say, fortunately, for many girls, when you consider the circumstances, that you've been in, and you consider, hey, let me think what I can do that would be more safer for me to consider. And that's something, that I thought in the back of my mind, hence the reason why I went into the field that I went into. And I know that's something we'll navigate to later on down the line, but I know personally myself, fortunately, I still worked. There was a time, that I did not work, but fortunately I was able to receive unemployment. And also I was able to receive the additional pandemic expenses that they were offering. So for me, fortunately, I was okay, with this time frame. I had money saved because I'm a saver, and I try to be savvy in that area at all times because I never know what the circumstances may be. So I would say personally for myself, I was okay, but I know many girlfriends of mine that were not okay. And I know that there were times that I may have been in a different position to where I wouldn't have been okay. So I thought about those young ladies during that time.
Wonderful. Now, I want to talk about this for a minute. Now that you brought that up, you made that sound amazing. I mean, just the way the way you laid it out was real, and that's what we want. Now, why is it that you think the girls don't go out and get a job? I mean, I understand show business is your life, and most even regular celebrities know without the next album, they're in debt. So it's always, like you said, that hustle that you've got to continue. Now, the girls, hopefully, I just want to say this before I ask you this question. Hopefully the girls have learned something from this pandemic that we are in now. All the prices are low. Why not open up your own bars? Why not make all that money that you're giving to strangers or to gay men or straight people that could be going in your pocket to where you could be living better lives? You know each other, you live next to each other, or you live in the same house as each other, a lot of these queens, or like you say, they're living on the fringes of life. You think put some light bulbs would go off in their head to say, hey girls, let's get together and open up our own club. Only thing we need is a liquor license, some insurance, a lawyer, and somebody to run the place and making sure all the bills are paid, and we put the money in our pocket. And it don't need to be the best looking place because we know 90% of the places we work in are garbage. So these girls need to wake up. Now, what do you think, because I'm looking at them online now, a lot of them have just gone back to the same old things, just like it was nothing. They haven't learned anything.
Oh, I thought you were
okay. Do you think that they're just complacent? Or what do you think they should do? How do you think we should get the message out that they need to get off their ass and get a job, or rethink the way drag is seen from the sense of somebody else displaying them?
Well, I will tell you this, Stephanie, and this is something not to categorize anyone or to make them feel that one person feels better than they are. But I think a lot of the girls, as you said, they are complacent. They're comfortable, with where they're living. A lot of the young ladies have different programs, whether it be Section 8 or some type of funded program that is assisting them to be in that type of household. And I know many of the young ladies, they get online and they pretend to live this fabulous lifestyle, but they're basically living in a 4x4 with no money saved and realistically does not have any thought process of what they will do, if something like this were to transpire again. So I think it's just a complacency and knowing that they have the security of whatever the program may be, or whatever their hustle may be. And I also think that it can segue into a lot of girls thinking that, oh, no one is going to hire me. No one is going to consider accepting me as me presenting the way that I would care to present. But I also think that that stigma and that thought process is kind of yesteryear now, because we have come so far as being trans women, or transsexuals, trans women, whatever you decide to call yourself within that arena, it still is an opportunity that presents itself there. So I just think that it's just the stigma of a lot of young ladies feeling like that, hey, no one is going to hire me. I don't have any skill sets. I'm not going to try to get any skill sets. And then you have the young ladies that live these fabulous lives, online, and, they may put a picture up and, they get 500 likes, in a couple hours, and that makes them feel that they have arrived and make them feel secured and things of that nature. And they're sitting home, trying to figure out what they're going to do for their next meal or how they're going to pay their rent or whatever the bill may be down the line. So I just think that, it's the complacency of being comfortable in that atmosphere. And you have to consider what the long-term goal is going to be, because suppose you can't do shows anymore. Suppose there were not virtual opportunities to where you can present yourself virtually, because if there were not Facebook, a lot of the young ladies wouldn't have been able to do the virtual shows. And I understand the reason why they had to resort to virtual shows, because you're thinking that, hey, I need to bring some sort of income in, and some the virtual aspect worked, and then some I could still tell that they were struggling. I know personally myself, I even tipped many of the girls because I understood, their circumstances that they were in. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, that could be me trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to eat the next day if I do not do this virtual show? And as draining as it may be, preparing and the technical things that may happen, you have to think about what am I going to eat tomorrow, or how am I going to pay this bill, when it comes.
Now, you say, you said in here, it says that you are a nurse. Now, how long have you been a nursing instructor?
I've been doing nursing now for 13 years, and I've been doing the instructing for the last 7 years.
Wonderful. You know what I like about you is I like the fact that you show the girls on your Facebook page and stuff, you're at work, you're doing something, and you talk to them, and you talk to different people, and you say different things like normal people. So for me, it shows the girls that they should be learning something from a woman like yourself that is contributing and not thinking I'm a trans woman, just thinking I'm a human being trying to make a living and have a life. And this is something that I really admire about you. This is why I love talking to you, because you're always there and you're always honest and straight up. And that is, I think some of these girls, they don't get it. Maybe because they've been living too long in the situation that they're in and don't understand that this is our time now. This is a time now for you to get what you want. because there's so many things off balance. There's so much opportunity from rent being low, for renting buildings, from getting decent apartments, for getting a job. What you don't have to be the cashier, you can be the stock person. You got some income coming in. And these girls are laying around going, I wonder when the bar is going to open back up. The bars, a lot of these bars are not opening back up. So you're sitting there laying there waiting on a bar to open up, or waiting on your next Section 8 check to come. It's okay that you're waiting for these checks to come, and it's okay that you're getting assistance. It's okay, but there's going to be a time to where the government and and the fact of your life might get a little bit better. You're going to demand more income, and you got to do something.
Yeah.
So why not now, since you're online? Everybody's online. You hustle these companies, even if you're on there putting makeup on every night. You can, if that's all you can do, you could be a trans woman working at Sephora or MAC or one of these cosmetic companies. Even, I mean, the opportunity is now. I hope the girls don't miss this opportunity. I really do. And I think with people like yourself and the business that you're doing with Models Inc., and the fact that you're working and you're showing them that, yes, you can have this fabulous showbiz kind of life, but during the day, you need to think about the reality of car payments, insurance, health insurance, this, that, dental, whatever, real life. And that's what we admire the most about you. And I'm just so pleased that I got to meet you. And you're grounded, and that's what I love. So I want to say, I'm really happy for you. Just the fact that you're a nurse and you're just living your life normally. And I wish a lot of the girls could do that. And I've been around trans women all my life, even though I'm from Orlando, Fort Lauderdale. I was around Tiffany Ariagas, Dana Metz, anybody that was trans, I was around. I've been in Toronto 33 years now, and this has always been my advocacy, is to make our lives better. Regardless of how much jewelry we put on and wigs we put on in show business, I want people to be able to live a normal life. And this is why we started Pronoun TV. I started it, and then the director said, let's move it into a talk show because we think that this can work. Let's keep hitting the pavement, finding the girls to get their real stories so we can get some real answers. Because now we have the attention of the government, whether it's through the girls trying to be in the army, or whether they're just trying to get equality. We now have their attention. So for women like yourself, I take my wig off. I say that all the time. I take my wig off to you. You're humble and you're working hard at it. And please spread the word to the other girls. Just do something. I say this, I try not to say what to do. I just always say, just do something. If you just do something, it'll lead to something else, and then something else. It took me a long time, Vega, to get in front of this camera. Trust me, I'm used to being on the stage and talking on the microphone is easy. But for me to try to get on this camera here and try to sell this stuff, I was not feeling it. And I'm gonna tell you this here, and I tell it every now and then in my videos. Brad Pitt talked to me on Twitter. I never thought it was him, never. He talked to me for months. He kept telling me, you have a voice. Use it for the LGBTQIA community. Use it. Nobody's doing that. There's a niche for this. Do this. Do this. And he kept saying it. I kept thinking, this ain't Brad Pitt. He set up a profile on Facebook, gave me 5 minutes of his time, and hung up. And when he finished talking to me, I was shocked. Because he pushed me, he said, just get in front of the camera and start talking. I know it's tough, but just start talking. And look at me now.
Yeah.
Who would have ever thought 2.5 years later, I'm in front of the camera doing what he told me to do. And I do it with ease because I'm learning. And I appreciate the fact that he saw something in me for somebody I didn't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody I didn't even know. So I want to say, just on the last few notes, what do you think should happen now? What do you think? What do you think should happen with our community now?
Well, as a community, as the whole community, you know, the LGBTQ plus community, I would say that the pandemic, for me personally, and I believe that anyone with common sense, you know, would resonate to this thought process as well. It has taught, or it should have taught, everyone to consider, you know, how you're going to survive, because you did not know what to expect from day to day. And I also think that it gave a lot of opportunities, because you have places that normally wouldn't consider hiring people that are multiple felons, you know, or have a felon, you know, and they're opening the doors and they're hiring those people. Being trans and things of that nature, it's so widespan now to the world that the acceptance for trans women is just something of the past now, because we are so mainstream and it's more understood about who we are, and also the type of things that we're able to progress to be, if we put forth our mind. I'll say personally for myself, one of the reasons why I made a decision to go into the nursing field, and as taboo as this may sound, it is true. I knew that people will always get sick. So that means that if I became a nurse, I will always potentially have a job, because people in the world will always be sick and they'll always need someone to take care of them. Now, will it always be Vega? No, it may not be Vega, but it's so many people in the world that will get sick, including you and I, that at some point, the opportunity for me to assist someone and bringing them back to health is going to be prevalent. And that's whether I'm in a private care setting, or whether I'm in a nursing facility, whether I'm working in a hospital. Currently, what I do is I work in, there are students that come to our school, and we teach them the CNA program, which is the Certified Nurses Aid program. We also teach them pharmacy tech as well as medication aid. And I teach the CNA program and also the medication aid program. And again, that's something that I've been doing for 7 years. I enjoy it. And it also gave me an opportunity to be on a platform to where one may have been afraid to be in front of the female students or the male students, because most of our students are female, but I would say probably 25% of our students are male. And some of them may come in and know that I'm transgender, but because I'm their instructor, I demand respect, I give respect. So at any given time, you know, there will never be any disrespect. And fortunately, my director, she is very gay friendly. She's a fag hag in the sense, you know, using a more ease word, but she will assure that nothing of that spectrum would ever happen to me. Now, keeping in mind that I'm the only person within my building that is of this lifestyle, only person that is transgender. The other instructors, they're either female or heterosexual male. But everybody treats me with respect, no different than I treat them with respect. So I think that our community as a whole needs to follow their thought process of knowing that they can do something, encourage themselves to know that it is possible for them to reach, you know, any type of goal or any type of dream. And sometimes you may have to take the makeup off for a second to get yourself through the door and then transition as such. That happened to me early on. I don't have to do that now because of my skill set, you know, and my credentials that I have behind me. But there was a time when I was in my 20s that I had to take off the makeup to get myself through the door and then transition in. In this day and time, we don't have to do those things. You know, we can go through the door and present as such. And as long as we're taking ourselves serious, 9 times out of 10, the person looking at us is going to take us serious. Often people don't take themselves serious enough in this trans world to
Mhm.
where the other person on the other end is going to reciprocate because you're not taking yourself serious.
You know, that's wonderful advice. That's wonderful advice and so true. I wish you, my mother used to always tell me, we live in the real world. We live in the real world and you need to live in the real world.
Mhm.
Now, just a couple more questions and then
Sure.
you've done amazing. What do you think of this Little Nas? What do you think of this? You know, I'm not really much of a rap person or
Mhm.
male singers because, you know, we live our lives for females. That's how we
Mhm.
make our living music. And I see this thing with Little Nas and the church and tennis shoes and all these kind of foolish things that I think are redundant and just sort of stupid. What do you think of that?
I will tell you that for a moment, and may be dumbfounded, to say this. I did not realize that he was even gay, and then I learned that he was. So with that thought process, and watching some of the things that I've seen him do online, and also how he dresses and the tennis shoes, and some of the little different things that I had an opportunity to see. I just think that he's branding himself. I think that he has that broad audience. And as long as he's doing something that is out of the norm, people like to see things that are out of the norm. They gravitate to things that are messy. They gravitate to things, that may intrigue them. So I think as long as he's doing those type of things, he's always going to be on the top of his game because you have so many people in the world that gravitate to those type of things. So me personally, I like the idea that he came out, but I also think that often he makes a mockery out of our community as a whole.
Yeah, I think that he could have been a little bit more sensitive in delivering a real message
Mhm.
instead of trying to just stick them in the jugular vein with the church and these
Yeah.
things. He could have went about it a little bit differently. But like you said, we commend him for at least taking a step and trying to bring attention um, to whatever his message is.
Mhm.
And I think that that is, like you said, the fact that we can actually do this without people really marching in the streets and screaming and yelling, because 10 years ago, that wouldn't have happened. The Black churches, mainly the Baptist churches and the Jehovah Witnesses would have been in the streets screaming and yelling. But we, like I said, is thank you for your intake today, input today on all of this. You are an amazing individual. Thank you so much for pushing the boundaries of transparency and equality for the trans rights and equality for the girls in Virginia, just showing them that there's a way to get what they want if they're willing to get off their asses and just kick those doors open, or just try to understand that this is their time now to sort of be the woman that they want to be and be part of society by just getting off their asses and trying. So I say to you, I have great respect for you and you've taught me a lot about humility, and you've made it very clear to our audience today here that they need to work hard and understand that they need to be willing to change their lives for the better, and being brave enough to kick those doors open that they wanted open for so long, and now they're open. It's time for them to start walking through them with their heads held high, regardless of how they look and how they feel. Just the fact of knowing that they have enough secure feelings within themselves to be themselves, to get the job, to make a difference. And then that will show other girls like themselves and like all of us that we're human beings and we just want to live a fabulous life, whether it's on the stage or in the grocery store or at the hospital or whatever we're doing, to just kick it with our friends and our children and our families and make our lives better. It's just something that has to be understood. And thank you so much for bringing so much good light on that today. And I think we taught the girls a little bit here today, don't you think?
Say it again, I didn't hear you.
I think we've taught the girls a little lesson here today.
I hope so. And I think that even if we taught a few, that gravitates, to where they can possibly, teach a few. So hopefully we've made a difference. I also want to commend you. I know that you commended me many times and you say you watched me, but I watch you as well. I was very impressed. One particular video, and this is segueing into knowing how well you host events. You were hosting something for a RuPaul's Drag Race. And you were on a large stage and you were so entertaining, so well spoken, and the audience, they just gravitated to you so well, and you used so many catchy phrases, during the time that you were hosting. And for me, because I'm a hostess also, the job is always to bring the audience in and to be entertaining and make them feel like they're a part. And that's what a lot of hosts, or hostess fail to do, because you're so focused on yourself that you have to focus on the audience, because they paid to come to whatever the venue is for whatever the event may be. So they want to be played with, they want to be spoken with, and they want to do back and forth with you. So there's some dialogue. So I like that about you. I love when you do your makeup. And I just love watching you, to get an understanding, on what happens within your location. Because I've never been to your location before, and it's something that always intrigued me. So thank you for educating me on where you're from.
Oh, thank you. Well,
and your culture.
Oh, thank you. What we hear, and like I said, I'm from Orlando, but I moved to Fort Lauderdale, went to school, and then they offered me a job and I moved to Toronto. And, like I said, I really feel that entertainment is something of value. It takes people away from their problems and their issues for that moment. And it's our job as the hostess of these shows to forget about us for the moment and realize, like you said, these people pay their money to come see us and we need to entertain them. And that is it. And then we get the glory for the fact of knowing that we made people happy. Regardless of how much money we made or how much, accolade we get, the fact that you made these people from wherever they're from happy. And that's our job as entertainers. And it's really important for people to understand that. And for you to say that, you watched me and you saw it, my mother used to say that, God rest your soul, I miss you, Mom. She used to always say, you have that gift that draws people in. Say, I don't know where you got it from, me or your father. Your father is terrible at it, and you know me. Well, thank you so much, Vega. Happy Pride. Chadwick, I know I didn't let you get anything in. You want to say anything to Miss Vega?
I would just like to say one thing. And I first of all want to say thank you very much for bringing out your experience as trans, because here in London, Ontario, where I am, trans is still so much of a taboo topic. And I have the one friend of mine that's from St. Lucia, up there, but pulled down, up there, pulled down by society. And the fact that I'm looking at a person of color right now in front of me, and she's a person of color, I thought, how did you make it and stay there where other people here are trying to make it and keep falling off the bandwagon? Because what I see now is you're a trans person who happens to be a nurse. Here, they don't have a lot going for them, so they're only a trans person. We want to have that career. I am this, and I'm also just so happen to be a transgender person. But if they don't have that career, trans becomes their career topic, which gives them a bad name. I'm trying to build them up, but I don't know how. I'm not trans. I'm just welcoming somebody else in my community. I am a gay male from Kingston, Jamaica, and I got labeled for being the black boy, then for being the gay boy, and now I'm a salesman, I'm a computer technician who just so happens to be a gay guy. I have a title. Gay is not my title anymore. It's just an accessory to what I do.
You know, Vega Over, I want to just say this to you, and then I'll let you respond to Chadwick. Thank you. Thank you for doing all that you do for our community. Thank you for you just keeping everything alive. And I'll let you answer, Chadwick, and then can you just tell us how we can get a hold of you? I am going to be doing a launch of Pronoun TV down the road. We're working on it now. So we will chat about maybe you making an appearance at the launch in a big show that we're going to do. But we're working on it. So I haven't got all the clear instructions from my agent yet about how all this is going to work. But you know, I know that you're a performer and you're fabulous. So I'll let you answer Chadwick's question, and then I'll just say, I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. And to answer Chadwick's question, for me, I would say education is extremely important. I think that because of my education, my credentials, my state board certifications, I think that that allowed me the opportunity to walk through these doors to where they had no reason to resist me based upon my gender, you know, or how I presented. So I think that with the friend that you're speaking of, I would recommend they consider getting some education behind, you know, their back, because often when you set these credentials in front of wherever the location is, you may be trying to gain employment, that it's often hard for them to resist you. Now, no, not to say that everyone, you know, is going to go get a degree, you know, whether it be a bachelor's, you know, a master's, you know, or even your associate's degree. But I think that education is certainly key because it opens many doors. And often in the United States, and I know that we're dealing with your location, you know, to where the standards, you know, of the rules, you know, that may be here, you know, or the standards that may be here are totally different, you know, from your location. But I would certainly recommend that the person, you know, consider getting some type of credentials, even if they just consider to get some skill set under their belt to where they have those certifications to where, okay, well, I'm certified for this and here's my credentials. How are you going to now deny me? And I know for me personally, that's something that has opened many doors for me and gave me the opportunities that it gave me, because I just was not going to allow someone to push me away. I am very professional and I present as such, and I speak well, you know, for most people, you know, that tell me that. And I think that that gives me the opportunity to get through the door. I dress properly, and it has awarded me, you know, the opportunity to work, you know, in many locations. Prior to me doing nursing, I worked in nonprofit and I was doing administrative work, and I did that for 12 years. And after I got out of that field, that's when I went into the healthcare field, because again, it guaranteed me an opportunity to have a job. And your question, because I try to be very savvy to remember things, how a person can reach me is on Facebook. That's Vega, my name, VEGA, OVA, which is my stage name. And then Perry is there at the end, and that's my legal name, Vega Perry. But my stage name is Vega Over, and that's my name on Facebook. VegaOver@yahoo.com is my actual email address, and they can reach me, you know, through those spectrums. Now, you can also find me on the Models Inc. website, because I am the owner and CEO of Miss Models Inc., MMI. We're on 21 years now. Jasmine Bonet is actually the reigning representative, and you can find more information about our pageantry system at www.mmimafia99 at .com, www.mmimafia lgbytqia99.com.
Okay. So on that note, Chadwick, did she answer your question?
Yes, she did. And I am so inspired now because I'm seeing trends at different levels. I'm seeing the entry level of trends where people introduce themselves to me as, hi, my name is, I'm only trans. With Vega, it's, hi, I'm Vega. Let me tell you my story. And by the way, I'm trans. It's by the way, I'm trans. I'm not just all trans and nothing but that. And that's what I like. I want this experience of being on this call with you to make me look at my friends when I see them. And I want to boost them up. I'm tired of seeing them as just trans. I want you to be a person first and be trans after. Don't be trans as everything.
Yeah.
Because they get knocked down for it. And then they're climbing out of that hole for somebody just to kick them back in the hole. You're way, way above the clouds. You're up where the planes are. That's where I want my friends to be. I want them up there on cloud 9. So thank you for this today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vega, and we will chat again. To our audience out there, we had Miss Vega over Perry on the show today from Models Inc. from Norfolk, Virginia. She came on to give us an inspiring and educational story about trans life and the LGBTQ plus community. And she gave us her thoughts on where we should go, what the girls should do, and her experience in a terrible time of this pandemic of let's educate the girls on the next steps and the reality of if this happens again, what they need to be doing and thinking about. Until then, my friends, again, right here from Pronoun TV and the Stephanie Stevens Show, thank you, Ms. Vega Over. Thank you, Chadwick Chung. And thank you to our fabulous audience out there for just giving us a chance to be part of your lives and for once feel like we're normal and you understand us and we understand you. So until then, my friends, have a great week. Thank you, Vega Over.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chadwick.
You're welcome. Thank you.